Hello, staff. It's Wednesday, and I promised you a staff update video today. I'm up at school doing a few things, as you can tell from the backdrop. So I'm going to get started right away because this one's going to be probably pretty long here. Got quite a few things to talk about. So first of all, I hope you're all doing well, and I miss you greatly. Hope you and your family are doing really well. The Blues are hanging in there and doing really relatively well. So tracking participation form for this week. I just want to make sure I clarify a couple things. For the purposes of that form that I've sent you, they're going to get credit if they've done anything you've asked them to do. So if you've asked them to do 10 things this week and they've done 1 out of those 10, you're not going to give me their name. That student's done something. You're only going to give me the names of the students who did 0 out of the 10 things you asked them to do. Doesn't matter if they logged in. Doesn't matter anything else. If they've completed 1 activity, 1 thing you've asked them to do, they're going to get credit this week. Now, that for your purposes as a teacher, that may not be acceptable. You're still tracking that they only did 1 out of 10, and when it comes down to deciding if their grade gets to improve or not, you may say no. But just for the district's data this week, that's what we're asking for, and it'll grow each week as we go through this, okay? So hopefully that helps you understand that. And it's this week. If they've done something you've asked them to do this week. Now, if you know a kid's been pretty consistent doing something and they've always done it on Friday, so you're pretty sure they've been doing things, then that's fine. But if somebody did something 4 or 5 weeks ago and hasn't done anything in 4 or 5 weeks, no, we're not counting that this week. Okay. Again, just use your best judgment on that. We're just trying to track participation and give some data to the superintendent. All right. Baseline grade for what you're going for off of whether or not they can improve is their T4 grade or March 13th. And I'm saying or there because if you had a student who was higher on March 13th because they'd done a couple things in T5 that helped them, you probably ought to give that kid the benefit of the doubt because that's what the state board said. But if T4 was higher and a few things in T5 hadn't been turned in yet, so their grade had come down, use the higher of the two, T4 or March 13th as their baseline grade for them to improve from. All right, how that improvement is going to work, I don't know yet. So hang in with me. Principals are talking about that, and we're waiting for some guidance from both DPI and the district before we make a decision on how that's worked. And if you're wondering what I mean by that, I don't know if it's going to be one big grading period, like there's just going to be T4 and that's it. Everything goes into PowerSchool, and whatever the final grade is, that's the final grade. I don't know if T4 is going to stay as 50% and then everything else be 50%. I don't really know how that's going to work yet. We're waiting, again, for some guidance from the folks at PowerSchool and DPI on that. So hang with me. I'll get that information to you just as much. I don't want to tell you one thing and then it be something different later, and I hope you appreciate that. Right now, you're just tracking them, and you're able to grade them now. You're grading them. You may even be putting that stuff in PowerSchool, although I'd probably hold off until you know exactly how it's going to work. For now, but you certainly can be pushing feedback back at the students at this point in time, okay? They can't go lower than that baseline grade. They can improve, but they can't go lower. Whether they're participating or not, they can't go lower than that baseline grade. So if the baseline grade was passing, they're going to have the option to either take that number or take a P for that passing grade at the end of the semester. Whether or not they participate in remote learning. The participation in remote learning can only improve their grade from that baseline. And again, as far as I know, you're going to be in charge of that. Just what the system is going to be, I don't know. Hope that makes sense. Call me if you don't. We'll talk through it some more. All right, want to continue to say that there's a fine line between encouraging and adding stress to a student. We've got a lot of students out there with a lot of stressful situations. They don't have access to internet. There's all kinds of things. And also, I'm sure, many being very lazy. But either way, starting to have a lot of teachers ask me, how many times do you expect me to call a student before I give up on them? Well, we're not going to give up on students. That's not the right term. But certainly, if you've contacted a student to get to work 4, 5, 6, 7 times and they're not doing anything, you have to decide what's the most productive use of your time. Maybe emails at that point in time to groups of students who aren't working works better than continuing to try to call home. If you haven't talked to the parent yet, you might keep trying to talk to the parent because we do want to re-engage students who we've lost contact with and try to get them back in the fold. We think that's what's best for them for academics as well as social and emotional. So if you haven't gotten a hold of a parent, maybe try to get hold of a parent, let the parent know the student's not working anymore or at all, and maybe the parent doesn't know that and wants to. I know if one of my students wasn't doing what they were supposed to, I'd want my teachers to tell, my children's teachers tell me so I could get on my kids because I'm assuming what I see them doing is what they're supposed to be doing. All right, 90 minutes. I want to just continue to say we've got a wide range right now what some students are saying, some teachers are providing versus others. Try to gauge what 90 minutes is. You're providing that twice a week to your classes, and really try to be reasonable about that. Remember, you're focusing only on the power standards at this point in time because you only have that 90 minutes twice a week. But try to really be reasonable about what that 90 minutes is. I know we've got some AP teachers that are pushing really hard right now because the AP tests are coming, and I get that. But everybody else, just understand the accountability measures are gone. So take a minute to relax on that and make sure you're keeping what you're asking kids to do within that 90-minute time frame. If T4 changes or anything changes prior to March 13th, whether it was in T4 or T5, anything prior to March 13th, if you regrade something, you improve the grade, you have to let Ms. Bunn know that. You can't just put it in PowerSchool. You've got to let Ms. Bunn know. She's got to have documentation on that, as well as she's stored those grades already, so you changing it doesn't necessarily change it where the parents and students see it. So make sure that you're letting Ms. Bunn know of any changes on stuff from T4 prior to March 13th. Okay, registration. We need you to push registration for us. We still got a lot of 9th through 11th graders that have not registered. Please help us with emails. If you're in contact with students, tell them. Don't forget to do your registration. Any questions, they can contact their counselor. The counselor will help them, but we need students to do the registration. We need everybody's help to push that. Emails, as well as when you're in conferences with kids, just try to make it a part of your habit is to say, hey, have you done your registration yet? And if they haven't, tell them they need to do it. And if they don't know how, everything's on social media. Contact their counselors. All right, Teacher Appreciation Week is next week. We do have something for you, and we will be getting that to you. We've got a system for where we're going to get that to you, and I'll get back with you next week, but just want to let you know, keep an eye out for a porch drop of something telling you how much we appreciate all you do here at Forest Hills, especially during this time where you're working probably in a very, very tough situation. We really appreciate that. You're going to get more information on 504s. You're going to need to be doing some documentation on your 504. I know I've already said that one time, but we're trying to, Ms. Lisk is working really hard to try to make it very simple for you to do so that it's not stressful for you or take too much of your time, but be watching for that. And when that comes out, please comply with the 504 documentation of modifications and accommodations. Tech Friday is 9 to 11 on Friday, so please make sure students know that they need to come up between 9 and 11. Mr. Duke and I will be here to help them. Please make sure if you have any students who are saying that, or maybe just a mass email to your students letting them know technology issues, be at the school 9 to 11. Student help desk tickets are helpful, but if not, just tell them show up and we'll get them. All right, intention forms. We've got about 90% of intention forms back from staff. They're due tomorrow. So it's Wednesday the 29th. They're due tomorrow. Remember, the transfer period is also closing, or application transfer period is closing tomorrow on the 30th. So you can't transfer to another school in Union County unless your name is on there and you've done everything in the transfer period. So I hope none of you are, or any more of you are than the ones I've talked to. I've had a couple that have talked to me about putting your name on transfer list, and I've been very supportive of those employees. I hope nobody else is, but if you are, I want you to be able to make sure your name's on that list so that you can qualify for that. All right, that's really all I got for you. I ran through that really quickly because I'm already at 8.5 minutes, and if I'd have gone any further, we'd be too long. I just want to make sure you understand how much I appreciate you, how impressed I am with all the work you've done. I know it's Teacher Appreciation next week, but I'm just telling you, there's nobody in the world who appreciates what teachers do all the time than Kevin Plew. I appreciate you so much. Have a great day. Call me if you need me. Any questions at all about any of this or anything else, if you just want to talk, call me.